Welcome everybody, welcome to my site. I call it the Tomb of Illumination, which is basically what Earth is. It's illuminated, and our purpose in life is to become illuminated as well, because we are all of the Earth, fractions of the overall system. Or you can think of it as an eye, an eyeball. And what do eyeballs do? They see the light. We have to open up our third eye to see the light. Come into the light, understanding creation and all that helps you ascend to a higher frequency to get out of the matrix. But if you want to stay as a globe believer, you'll stay stuck in the mud at your lower self and never wake up. But those who do seek the truth have come to realize the earth is indeed flat. We have all the evidence, we can understand it, and so you've opened your mind, and you open your mind, you are seeking. So if you seek, you shall find. And this is part of conscious development, ascending, receive the higher frequencies. Otherwise, if you're not seeking, you just stay dumb. And which brings me back to the initial name of this video. It was going to be called the 10 dumbest questions globe believers ask flat earthers. Well, I only got as far as the one and realized, well, that's a video on itself. So number one here is, how does flat earth have two hemispheres? This is one of the main questions you get from these ignorant people who think they live on the outside of a spinning ball called a globe. Well, hemi means half, right? So we come to understand the flat earth system. If you're new here, this is what it looks like as a side, as a slice, as a, what do you call them? Not an elevation, it's a cross section. Okay? There's the plan view and the cross section. Now you might get confused because look how small the north is, right? This is if you could see Earth as one, if you're one of those imaginary astronauts, you could see the Earth, it would look like this. Small northern hemisphere expanding out to the south. Everything expands out from the center north. Okay? So we're going to get into understanding this expansion in this video. But this is another way of drawing it, where we see the two northern hemispheres and the southern hemisphere, which is all around it, right? So center north, you've got the central vortex of creation right in the center here, which is basically this here. The hole, just like a ring magnet. Earth is like a ring magnet. We're just going to talk a bit more about that. Just expanding on previous videos I've done. Because I've come to realise something. I was always humming and hawing how the magnetic field flows. And I've come to understand it now, so I'll share it with you. So, you know, like there is another way of drawing this, like following this, where the northern hemisphere shrinks away, but that gets confusing. You just got to open your mind and try and think, because understanding flat earth takes a lot of thinking. It's not just a stupid design like they show you with the globe, okay? It's way more complicated than that. And this is why the people who run this world show us the globe, because they know you're dumb or think you're dumb. They want to treat you as though you're dumb and want to keep you dumb. Because the dumber they keep you, the less likely you're going to wake up and realise what's going on. So they do not want the truth out there. This is why us flat earthers are shadow banned, or you make no income off it. But I'm here anyway to share the truth. So let's get into it, eh? So hemi means half. So there's a half there. And there's a half there if you want to go that way across the across the ring magnet. Imagine there's this very small hole in the centre here that we cannot get to. We try to get there, but we cannot. It's basically the black hole. You cannot go into a black hole from its side. You have to come in the door, which is basically the Milky Way. You've got to get into the Milky Way, the passageway, the causeway to get in there. Okay? So imagine that hole's up in here and we cannot get into it. This is where the sun sits on its horizon. The sun does not get sucked into a black hole. No, you'd have to drop it in through the hallway, up in the through the Milky Way. It's basically where the sun sits anyway, because there's one end of the Milky Way comes out and the other one comes down. So you've got one end of the Milky Way coming up and over into it, and the other end just comes straight up into it, which is straight up off the Arctic basin there. Sits like that. Let's bring it up here. And then you have the Milky Way comes from the tropics, the electromagnetic field, the end of it comes over into the top. Or straight magnetism comes up this way. Once again, I'll be talking about that. Magnetism being attracted to the electromagnetic, and the electromagnetic being attracted to the magnet. So hemi is half. We have a northern hemisphere, so you go south and north, so there's two hemis. And what do you have inside your head? You have two hemispheres to your brain, don't you? Well, they're not spherical, are they? So that's how stupid these globies are. They understand the Earth's brain as having two hemispheres, but they can't understand the flat Earth having two hemispheres. Because flat Earth is not only about the dielectric plane between the two fields, the positive field and the negative field. It's about its flux, like a magnet. It wouldn't be a magnet if it didn't have a magnetic field which creates the flux, magnetic flux, would it? No. Earth wouldn't exist either without the magnetic flux. It's basically the metaphysical magnet. It's a physical magnet, we understand that. Well, our physical world is not creation, is it? We are created from this magic place called creation, which is all hidden up in here, all hidden in that dead centre. We've all been expanded. We're an exploded view of this dot, 0 point. Okay? So flat Earth isn't just about its flat plane of inertia. It has what we know in magnetism as flux, which is our atmosphere. Just like the Earth's atmosphere thins or weakens in pressure the higher or further away from its plane, so too does the magnetic pull of a magnet weaken the further from the magnet. Okay? Earth is just like a ring magnet. It has a north and south pole, doesn't it? Yes, but we have been lied to in regards to where these opposite poles are or what they even mean. Allow me to explain. Well, that's what I'm going to do today in this video. So, we need to understand the magnetic field of the Earth, how it flows. We are told that we live on a ball. Let's draw another picture of a spinning ball, shall we? Just for laugh's sake. Show how stupid those people are who believe in such garbage. And then we'll just put an equator line there. And of course we have to put an imaginary stick there, don't we? Just so we don't get confused about which way the spinning ball is, top or bottom. So we have to draw a stick like that. It's for brain manipulation. And then you put a bit of a spin on it, okay? So they tell us there's a north pole and there's a south pole. And they want you to believe that the magnetic field goes all the way around to there and goes in that way. All the way around there and goes in that way. 100% rubbish. Total garbage. In our flat earth system, the field comes up out of the centre north and it comes up out of the south. They both rise. There's no exit and entry, or entry from the south over to the north, exit from the south over into the north, because the magnetic field of Earth does not cross the tropics, the tropical gap. That's the neutral zone. That's the place of avoidance, just like the black hole. Okay? Everything avoids the black hole. It spins around it. Okay? But down here, it's a changing magnetic field because it's avoiding this gap, this tropical gap. The magnetic field does not flow like the rest of the Earth. There is no magnetic field in the tropics as such. What happens is the magnetic field flows up out of the north, goes to the tropics and drops straight down. Then shoots along this way, rises up and shoots down this way. Why does it do that? Well, in physics they understand there's a strong force and a weak force. And it's basically what the north and the south pole is, the way they've described it with their ball. Okay? But in reality, with this flat earth system, this is the weak force. Weak force. All the way around the south. Okay? And you've got the strong force in here. Very strong. Okay? So, the field rises up out of the north to seek its opposite. And where's their opposite? Well, the opposite's here. Right there. That's not a south. That's a north pole as well. That's north. And so is this. That's north. Okay? And these are their souths. The field rises from the north and the field rises from there. They are both the same pole, you could say, but they're only different in regards to strength. It's a strong force. Strong force is in the centre. Strong force. And out here we have the weak force. Of course it's weaker, it's way more dispersed. As it comes out from the strong point, it weakens. Just like our earthly field, atmosphere weakens as the further you get away from the flat plane of inertia. Everything expands south. So the strong force is always seeking the weak force, right? But it can't cross the tropics, because it's a neutral zone. It's a place of avoidance. Okay? I know this drawing's sometimes confusing to people who look at that. They're not quite understanding it, but you just got to go with me. If you can see the whole thing as one, because man does not see as he expands, it's all relative to the observer as he moves south. He does not see expansion or contraction. Everything is relative to the observer and he sees it in equal form. So let's just say we're seeing all this in equal form. We're not seeing the expansion and contraction. If we did, everybody on earth would know 100%. There'd be plenty of proof there, wouldn't there? But they don't see it. That's the trick, that's the magic of creation. Okay? Just like I've done in the previous videos. There's a 2D plane of creation. That's the ecliptic plane. But it creates a magnetic field depth. So these circular motions in here become an S-curve motion in this depth. This magical zone is where we all come from. That's what creates Earth. Projects out there is there, and creates our realm. Bit deep, but go and check out my earlier videos, or you might have to get on my Patreon actually. Most of my stuff is on Patreon. If you really want to learn, you need to get over there and pay a few bucks. If you really want to know the truth, The real deep esoteric knowledge, you're going to have to pay quite a bit for the saints. Get into the saints. Pay that one-off fee, get the base video, and you start to understand everything. Everything about flat earth, everything about all the esoteric knowledge that's been left before us by the Egyptians. It's right through all religions. You need to get that base video to understand everything. You'll be rapt, you'll be pleased, and you'll be blown away with the information that's in there and what's coming. Okay, so back to the flat earth here. You've got a strong force always seeking out the weak force. And the weak force always seeking out the strong force. But it can't get beyond here. This is the avoidance zone. So the north seeks out, goes to the south. It's being drawn to the south, but it has to drop to the ground here and shoot across here, because why? Because it's seeking equilibrium. The strong force is trying to seek the resting state. So it goes straight to the weak force. And once it gets here, it's becoming weak because strong in here, right? As it's travelling, it's expanding. Everything's stretching out. So it's pretty much getting shredded, you could say. That's one word, because what's happening here happens actually in our atmosphere as we elevate. So you've got to think of what's lateral is vertical in our created realm. As we leave the earth, atmosphere, the hydrogen molecule expands bigger and bigger. That's why the air gets thinner and thinner. Well, you've got to imagine this down on the plane. As the magnetic field goes south, it expands, stretches, gets shredded, it becomes weaker. So the strong force wants to meet the weak, and the weak wants to meet the force, strong force. So it comes up like this, right? The avoidance zone, and then shoots over to the weaker force. Then it rises up here to go back, seek out. It's getting drawn because it's opposites here. You could say so. They're either both north poles, or they're both south poles, and they're opposites in here. So call it what you will. But those two are the same. It's just a strong force and a weak force. And we're told in science, in physics, that the cold will rush to the warm, but the warm won't rush to the cold, right? Well, what's happening here in the tropics? The cold of the northern hemisphere Arctic cold is shooting over to the warm tropics, isn't it? It's shooting over the tropics. It's Cancer. There's Cancer there. And there's Capricorn. The warm zone. Shooting over there to the warm zone. And brings the heat, drawing it back down into the ground, basically, isn't it? Well, no, forget that, but anyway. And this cold is rising up, coming over the tropics, coming down to the warm. It's shooting across and coming up this way. That's how the field works. So there you have, for starters, the infinity symbol that's been around for hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years. Now you know where it comes from. There it is there, right there. What to do with my page? Lost track of my page. Here we go. Okay, so understanding the strong force always races to weak, weak always to the strong. And what happens in nature? Male seeks female, male seeks the female, female seeks the male. Somewhere along the line there's a bit of a cock up and things go a bit astray, as we know. Sometimes they seek themselves, sometimes they seek themselves. Maybe it's trying to create some equilibrium via another system. Okay? So now we have to start understanding electrical and magnetic. Okay? So this is the magnetic flow of the earth. So once again, even though these two are the same, but a weak force and a strong force, these two are the same, but a weak force and a strong force. So this is still the weaker force, right? Weaker. Then this one, this is a strong one. Everything breaks down to male and female, okay? Or you can call it weak force, strong force. And this is where we create electromagnetism. It's the weak force and the strong force. You know, the capacitor plates in physics, we call it the South Pole and the North Pole. Okay? And what's being created in here is electromagnetism. These are the capacitor plates, the iron plates. Okay? So out of there comes the electromagnetism, magnetic force over to the black hole center, into there, and up off the Arctic is the pure magnetism to meet up here at the black hole. So we need the magnetic field. So a lot of people think that we live in an electrical universe. It's not electrical, it's magnetism. It's magnetic. It's all magnetic. There's no electrical there, is there? Electricals, once you put these two together, then you've got an electrical charge. Try this system. You get the electromagnetic force out of the atmosphere, because it's been created in here. And this magnetic field here, what's the other word for that? Earth or earthing or earth peg. It's basically magnetism. It's the magnetic field of Earth. Don't believe me? You bring a wire down a tree. Here's a tree. Okay, there's your earth peg in the ground. Coil a wire down the tree, then bring one off here, bring it to here, here. Have some yobbo stand here on the ground and hold both ends. See what I mean? No, don't do it, it'll kill you. You become electrical, okay? You become the light, you become the illuminated, just like the sun becomes the illuminated on the horizon of the black hole, right here, because of these two forces. You don't get it from just electromagnetism or just a magnet. It's when the electromagnetism hits the earth, okay? There's free power here. Understand that. So, it is not an electrical universe, it is magnetic. It is the north and south pole of magnetism that creates the electrical, or the weak and the strong force. Electrical is electromagnetism. And this, basically electrical is where the electromagnetism meets the magnet. You need the both, earth / magnetic to collect, or magnet to connect to the electromagnetic to create electrical. Positive atmosphere is electromagnetism. Negative earth, magnetism. Earth is the magnet. Earth is a ring magnet. Explained as metaphysical compared to our physical realm. Realize the difference. There's the creator and the created. We're the created, so everything is in our mind. Okay? Our whole earthly system is of the mind. It's that sixth sense you need to find to understand everything. The poles are both north or both south. They both rise up to both go down at their respective tropical sides. avoiding their like, which is the other side of the tropics. So it's rushing over here, but because these are two of the same, they're not marrying, are they? Like two magnets, two of the same poles, restricting each other, bouncing off. Okay. Feels good. So it shoots down here to go all the way out there to seek the partner. Along the ground to seek out their opposite, the weaker or stronger force. This is why science tells us that the cold travels to the warm, but not warm to the cold. It's cold to the warm. It goes through the ground. We don't know that, do we? Well, they didn't know that. Then the cold comes up over here to the warm again. But it's not the warm going to the cold, is it? No. And it's where the magnetic field comes out of the earth and hits the electromagnetic field, atmosphere, is where we get the auroras. Okay? So we don't always get the auroras for some reason. But there's a lot more to that. So the video is not about auroras. Just look at the magnetic flow of Earth, but the strong force will always seek the weak force, and the weak force will always seek the strong force. This is nature. Why male is attracted to female and female attracted to male. So I guess in physics, electromagnetism is attracted to magnetism, which it is, and magnetic is attracted to electromagnetism. Strong force becomes weaker as it moves in the expanding south. Okay? So realize it's getting weaker. It's seeking, the stronger seeks the weak, but as it moves south, it becomes weak in itself. Then it gets out here and it's weak. Then what happens? It comes up to start seeking out the strong again. It's forever flowing. It can never find rest. If it found rest, all life would cease to exist. We wouldn't be here today. It's the avoidance zone. Avoidance zone. The avoidance zone, the black hole. The avoidance zone. So you have this system going on, infinity system going on this way, that way, sideways, horizontally, vertically, and then we also have the sun down a lemma, don't we? We know the sun down a lemma looks like this, a bit of a 2 to 3 ratio, because there's the difference. See, small and larger field on a whole. That's about the only way we can tell that the Earth expands southward from the north. Okay. But the funny thing is, it's not really funny to me because I know how it all works. Out south, it's opposite. The magnetic field, well, it's basically like this. The sun's an lemma on a hole, like that, small, large. But in the sky, we see it like that. We see it like this. In the southern hemisphere, because there's many. This is infinite all the way around here, because our sun comes out of here, but in the north the sun comes out of here. It's a bit confusing for you newbies. That's right, the southern hemisphere is mirrored from the north, where you have the one system come out of here, but seen in many places, so everybody sees one. Basically there's sun and a lemma. It's all in here. Right? All the way around here. Well, we have the same out here.